I didn't slam the door when I walked out. Didn't shout, didn't hurl accusations. Didn't even ask her why. Because when the truth slices deep, there's no need for noise. Silence is enough. She lied. And in that moment, I stopped needing explanations. I left because I had to. Because staying would have meant choking down something that would have poisoned me from the inside. And I truly believed that was the end of it. Felt final. Until that letter appeared. Folded carelessly, edges torn. Left at my door without ceremony. Like it was trying not to be noticed. And just like that, everything I had started to rebuild cracked open again. We had spent 4 years together. 4 years of routines. Shared apartments. Keys exchanged like promises. Private jokes, lazy Sundays wrapped in silence. Not the uncomfortable kind, but the peaceful kind. It wasn't passion anymore. It was rhythm. It was home. Or so I had thought. Now, when I rewind everything, I can see the exact moment when the atmosphere between us shifted. It started with her eyes. How they no longer met mine with the same warmth. How her gaze always seemed somewhere else. Her words shortened. Half-finished thoughts. As if she was always biting something back. I noticed. Of course I did. But I buried it. Because when love is real, you protect it. Even from your own gut feelings. Even when the signs are screaming. So when the truth surfaced, crushed me. It wasn't even some explosive betrayal at first. Just her voice, hushed and trembling. On the phone. Saying she couldn't do it anymore. That she felt guilty. I shouldn't have listened. But I did. And later that night, I asked her about it. She smiled. Told me I was reading too much into things. Blamed work stress. Laughed it off. And I clung to that smile like it was a lifeline. I wanted to believe her. God, I needed to believe her. But the next morning something in me cracked. I did what I'd never done before. Checked her phone. And there it was. Messages. A name I didn't recognize. Conversations I was never part of. A version of her that belonged to someone else. It wasn't physical. But it didn't need to be. Emotionally, she had already left. I remember staring at the screen. Frozen. Not angry. Just emptied out. I didn't wait for her to come home. Didn't scream or ask for closure. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and I walked out. No note. No confrontation. No goodbye. Because the life we had wasn't real anymore. Not since the moment she let someone else hold parts of her that were once mine. Days passed. Then weeks. I got a new place. Started piecing together something like a new life. But she was still there. In the quietest corners. In the way I'd freeze for a second when I saw someone wearing a jacket like hers. In the sting of not knowing what her days looked like anymore. But I never reached out. Not once. Because trust, once broken like that, isn't something you patch back up. Then came that rainy day. I got home. And there it was. No envelope. Just my name, written in her familiar hand. Placed softly on the doorstep. Like it was asking permission to exist. I stared at it for a long time. Every part of me said not to touch it. Not to let her voice back into my life. Not even in ink. But I opened it. And the words inside didn't just hurt. They destroyed something that had survived even her lie. You probably hate me, she had written. I wouldn't blame you. And the rest? That's where everything shifted again. Want me to keep going from there? Erase me if you must. Not because I deserve to be forgiven, but because you deserve honesty. That night, I didn't lie out of mistrust. I lied because I was ashamed of what I was turning into. The man you glimpsed in those messages wasn't someone I cared for. It wasn't love. What I fell for was the feeling, the attention, the escape. With him, I wasn't expected to be flawless or strong or composed. I could be messy, careless, untethered, and for a moment that felt like freedom. But it came at a cost. I didn't know how to be that version of myself and still stay worthy of you. I was crumbling quietly and didn't know how to ask for help. I know it sounds twisted, but I was terrified that I wasn't enough anymore. That one day you'd wake up, look at me, and see someone unworthy of your love. So instead of facing that fear, I took the coward's way out. I lit the match and walked away from everything good, just so you'd have a reason to hate me. Because hate is easier than disappointment. Hate gives people a reason to leave without looking back. And you did leave. Quietly. No yelling, no pleading. You just walked away, calm and silent. But I saw you from the window. I watched you go, and the weight of that moment still crushes me. I've tried to reach out so many times, started a message, deleted it, rewrote it, deleted it again. What could I even say? How do you speak to the person whose heart you shattered, not out of cruelty but out of confusion and fear? I'm not asking for you to come back. I don't expect you to open your arms and forget the pain. All I want is for you to know, you were never the reason we fell apart. It was me. All of it. I was the one who didn't know how to carry the love you gave. I was the one who cracked under the pressure of my own demons. And I will carry that truth with me for the rest of my life. I hope you find someone who doesn't run when things get hard. Someone who doesn't unravel when the storms come. But if you ever wonder, did I love you? Yes, I did. I still do. I just didn't know how to love you in the way you deserved. When I read her message, I sat on the floor for what felt like forever. Not because I forgave her right away, but because something finally clicked. Betrayal isn't always rooted in cruelty. Sometimes it's born from fear, from self-doubt, from the kind of inner chaos that disguises itself as distance. The truth hurt more than the betrayal because it reminded me that what we had was real. It just couldn't survive the war she was fighting inside her own soul. I never wrote back. Not because I didn't care, but because some words are meant to be the last chapter, not the beginning of a new one. Still, I carry her letter with me. Not to reopen old wounds, but to remind myself of something deeper. Sometimes people don't walk away because they stop loving you, they leave because they've forgotten how to love themselves. To anyone out there who's holding on to the wreckage of someone else's lie, you're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to never turn back. But if closure arrives, through a message, a letter, a moment of clarity whispered from the past, let it reach you. Not to stir up the past, but to finally lay it down. Sometimes the story doesn't end with goodbye. Sometimes it ends with understanding. And in that, maybe, just maybe, we begin to heal.